Hello, my name is Wayne Alexander, and today we're going to be taking a look at business process flows within CRM 2013. This is a new functionality that wasn't available in CRM 2011 or CRM 4, and the purpose of the business process flow is to guide users through a specific business process to completion. Now I'm going to be using the web version of CRM to show you this, and the example that I'm going to use today is to create a case or case escalation and resolving process really. Case is going to come into first line. There's certain stages they have to go through before it gets assigned to a particular person, and then they can go on and resolve the case. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and navigate over to the settings area of CRM, and business process flow is a process. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on new, and I'm just going to call this case resolution for Alexa Corp. That's my fictitious company. I'm going to go ahead and select the category as business process flow and the entity as case, and I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. Now the business process flows allows you to create stages, and within the stages you can have various steps. So for our first stage, I'm just going to go ahead and click here. It's going to be identification. So this is my identification stage. First things first, who the customer is. So for the first step is to just identify the customer. Now as you're adding the steps, what the system would expect you to do is to add a corresponding field for the step. Now these fields are obviously related to the entity in question. So if I want to identify the customer, I'm going to go down to my customer field, and I'm actually going to make that required. So as you're creating the steps, you can actually make fields required. So I'm going to actually say first thing to do is identify who the customer is, and I'm forcing them to add a customer to this particular case. I want to go ahead and add another step, so I'm just going to click on the plus icon here, and I'm going to go ahead now and say specify origin of the case. So where has this case come from, and the corresponding field that I'm going to use for this one is going to be case type. Again, I'm going to make it required, and I'm just going to go ahead and add my various steps here. So what type of case is this? This time I'm going to click on the drop down. I'm going to go ahead and select case type. Again, I'm going to make that required. You'll notice that these fields that I'm making required is a tick box. I don't have to make the fields required. I could leave them as non-standard. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add another step here, which is description of the problem, of the issue I should say. Again, click on the field, and this time I'm going to go ahead and select description. There you go, make that required too. So this is for my first stage, which is identification. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus to add my second stage, and my second stage is going to be the assigning of the case. So what I want to do is to assign to relevant support user. I'm going to click on the drop down, and I'm going to go ahead and select owner. And you'll notice what I'm actually doing is I'm creating the case resolution process for Alexa Corp within the CRM 2013 system. Now the next stage I'm going to do is research. And for research, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a step to say is this case related to another case? If I click on the drop down here, just going to scroll through my options until I find the one we're after. As a matter of fact, what I should do, and I'll go ahead and change that, is knowledge base article. What I should have said was check for KBA. You'll notice I'll not make that required. And my final stage would be resolution. Is the customer satisfied? I'm going to go ahead and put in my case type, my field type as satisfaction. Just scroll down here. There we go. Make that required as well. And once we can do that, we can go ahead and close the case. So this is a process through from identification through to resolution. This is a basic business process flow that I've done. We could make them more complicated if we want. One thing I didn't include here, which was the stage category, which is cheeky of me, I should have done. So I'm just going to go in and add these stage categories. This gives us the ability to use advanced find to search for these. So assigning of the case. So identification, I've called that identify. My assigning of the case, let's qualify. Doing my research, and finally resolve as well. You do have the ability with these business process flows to actually create records within the different stages as well. Very similar to what you can do with workflows. Now for this example, I didn't do so. I've created my business process flow. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and first of all hit save. Now business process flows, very similar to fields within CRM 2011, it actually has security levels. Now when a business process flow is created, by default, if I just click on enable security roles here, the system would expect you to select which security roles, in other words, which users with specific security role would have the ability to see this business process flow. Now by default, only sysadmin and syscustomizer would have the ability to see them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and enable that for everyone and click OK. And now that's gone through. And second to last, you have the ability to create multiple business process flows for a particular entity. So if I just go ahead and click on order process flow, what I could do now is set the order in which these multiple process flows would appear. And I want mine to be the first process flow, so I'm just going to select my process flow and using the green arrow move it to the top of the list. And I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. So with the combination of security roles and order process flows, what you can actually do is set up different processes for users based on their security roles who are using the same entity. Last but certainly not least, it's a process just like workflows are and dialogues, so you have to activate. So I'm just going to go ahead and select my activate, click OK, and now we've just created our business process flow for case resolution. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and jump out of this screen, and I'm now going to just quickly navigate back to the service area and cases, and we'll just take a look at how this business process flow works. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new case. Just wait for that to run through. Okay, And you'll notice that the headers here for my business process flow are the ones from the stages that we just created. So if I was to go ahead and select identification first of all, it brings up the steps. So identify the customer. If I click on the lookup, I'm just going to go ahead and quickly run through this business process. Select a customer, and you'll notice as I'm filling in the fields, it's actually populating the case form. So it's just guiding users in how to resolve this case. So specify the origin. I'm going to say this is actually a question. What type of case is this? Again, you'll notice when I select specify the origin as question, it automatically pre-populated the case type as question for me. Description of the issue. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, how do I create a business process flow? So I filled in the first few steps as if I was first line. What I'm going to do next is assign the case. By default, I'm the only user in the system, so we're going to leave it as Wayne Alexander. What I'm also going to do actually is give it a case title because it's a required field. So I'm going to say test case for business process flow. If I go on to my next step, which is research, and it's saying check for KB article. So you'll notice that I had the ability to now click on the lookup, and if I did have a KB article, knowledge base article related to this particular issue, then what I could do is click on the lookup, select that KB article, and then if I wanted to push that onto the client for resolution. Last step is the resolution. Is the customer satisfied? Remember, this is based on the satisfaction field, so I'm going to go ahead, best case scenario, say the customer is very satisfied, then I can save and resolve the case. So what we've done there was just quickly ran through how the business process flow would work in real life based on what we added to the system. But as I said, the whole idea of these business process flows has allowed you to guide users in the company's specific business processes within CRM. Thank you.